used to look like after he would miss a hit and didn't know how to get back. He'd put himself
Yeah.
out of position to make a hit, and if the guy ducked out of the way, he was kind of lost for like 3 or 4 seconds. That's literally Johnson every time he steps on. It's occasionally the only good thing I've seen him do is throw a big hit or two.
Right.
It's great. It's contributing in some way, but usually he puts himself out of position for it, so
Yeah.
it ends up hurting the team anyway.
Yeah. Another I don't know if you want to call him a disappointment yet, is Brassard. Are you concerned about him that he's not working out either?
Yeah, it's challenging because you want him to work so badly. Like he was so good in New York and he was so good in Ottawa. It's frankly surprising he hasn't been able to find any kind of rhythm during his time in Pittsburgh. And I know he had an injury and there was something else at the end of the last playoffs and there's some weird juggling, but it's not. It's kind of strange this season because it almost feels like there are often games when both Matt Collin and Riley Sheehan outplay him, even when he's been healthy, and it's like that just can't happen. I mean, we got him on a good bargain. And heck, he's not being paid that much more than we're not paying him that much more than we're paying Jack Johnson. So, so for a third line center or top line wing, depending on how Dominic Simon's doing, Simone's doing, it's like I want to give him a chance to adjust. I keep thinking he'll find his groove, but it just doesn't keep happening, and I don't know how long we can wait. I have a feeling once we get closer to finding out, what it's looking like for Schultz coming back, as well as looking like for our center situation and a top line wing situation. Rutherford always likes to make the November December move, so I wouldn't be surprised to put that past him again. Try to figure out something, and Brassard's going to be an option because we just don't have much that can be moved. They're not going to move Hornquist. They're not going to move Hagelin. We just don't have much else.
Right. Right. And I keep hearing the same thing. Well, just give him time. Um, just give him a bunch of games with the same line mates on the same line, and let's see what they can do. It's like, yeah, but okay, yeah, it's kind of early, but how long are you gonna wait? Like, what? I don't know. It just seems like a bad fit. It almost seems like when they got Jerome McGinley.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing with the Ginla, and I'll say this again, and there is so much about both the Ginla and Brendan Morrow and
Mm-hmm.
Doug Murray and the way they were utilized on this team. It was just horrific coaching. And I, you know, from the time he started here till his second to last year here, I was about as big of a Bylsma fan as it got. But Jerome Iginla was so misused, and even more so than that was Brendan Morrow. And it was like, I worry that we're not quite, I don't think we're quite there yet with Brassard, because I think he's been utilized in a way that actually makes sense. So, or, if they can't get him to work on the third line center, being a top six wing it is not a horrible idea, especially when, you know, there's an open spot on Crosby's side that nobody quite knows what to do with if Simone isn't producing. But since he's been doing good at that, he doesn't really have Brassard doesn't really have a home on the third line, and it's like, well, we can keep going and keep going and keep going and hope. I mean, for me, what it comes down to is he costing us points? Even early in the season, is he costing us points? And we're not there yet, but he's also not helping us stay afloat. So it's kind of not quite to critical mass, but I don't think we're too far away from it. If we're having the same conversation in December, then I think we're going to have to start a countdown clock for his remaining time at Pittsburgh, because if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Not every
Right.
player is a good fit on every team. Um, some players just excel elsewhere and fail in cities you'd expect them to succeed.
Yeah.
We put Brassard in the best situation possible for him. He's playing against the weakest opponents on the other side. He's playing against, the low pairing D. He's getting a good amount of ice time outside of special teams. So the fact it's just not happening, kind of it's just a mystery. It's hard to really explain.
I'm tired of hearing it's like, well, he's used to playing first or second line minutes. He's not getting as many minutes. Well, who cares? So if you're getting 16 minutes instead of 20, to me, that's not an excuse. But
Especially when you play against lower quality opponents. I mean,
yeah,
when you're seeing the other team's fourth line, or their second line, and you're seeing their third pairing,
yeah,
it's like, well, you're going to get more opportunities to shoot the puck, and it's just not happening. And he's just not generating offense. He's consistently, their lines are just getting pinned down in the defensive end, and by the time they even get remotely close to the puck up the ice, they have to do a line change, and it's just like, it's just not a recipe for winning, and it's concerning.
yeah, yeah. He should eat up that matchup. Yeah, you're playing their third best line. My goodness. But speaking of the spot on Crosby's line, why is Hornquist not up there? That seems like the most logical thing, but he's stuck on a line with Cullen and Sheehan, and I don't know. I don't know. Well, it doesn't make sense.
I think it's kind of an issue of solving a problem by making another problem slightly worse. um, Hornquist, the only place that I think is a natural fit for Hornquist is alongside Malkin. For some
Yeah.
reason, every time it seems they play him and Crosby together, they just don't mesh. It seems like they just see the game a little bit differently. And Hornquist plays such a simple, straightforward game most of the time. It's hard to believe anybody couldn't mesh with him, especially Crosby. But for some reason, they don't connect on passes. They seem to go offside more. It's like they're just, you know, point 0.5 off on their wavelengths. It's frustrating, but it's also one of those things, like, this is why Simone is, I think, okay in that spot for now. I don't love him as a long-term solution, but, Sid certainly seems fine with him. Is just that they kind of get each other. And
Yeah.
more importantly, he can get the puck to both Crosby and Gensel. And, if that's what's happening on that line, it's not the best case scenario, but it's far better than not generating offense. And having somebody like Hornquist who can create space is probably, the most important thing for somebody like Crosby and Gensel, who can make plays and get the puck on that. But if they're having issues getting to that point, it just kind of, defeats the entire thing. And it's like, you want Hornquist to be that guy. We're paying him like that guy. We're not paying him like a third or fourth line winger. We just signed him to a big contract that he, by all means, deserved. And it's just, you wonder how much of him is saving up for it at this point, knowing, like we were talking about earlier, it's still early in the season. He's not getting any younger. He plays a physical game. Maybe he's just not putting himself into it the way he does later in the season. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah. It's just crazy that the people. You'd think you would just put the best people with Crosby, like Kessel and Crosby just do not mix at all. It's like there's a very particular type of player that Crosby wants to play with, and it's just crazy. So yeah, hopefully it will be Simone. But Daniel Sprong, what is? Do you have hope for him, or is this another potential disaster?
Depending on it truly depends on the day of the week.
Yeah.
I mean, you see games early in the season, he was getting what 5 and 6 minutes a game, but he was playing decent. But then he gets a little bit of a better look, and he makes turnovers. He's fumbling the puck. He's missing passes. He it's he has a heck of a shot, and I mean he gets the opportunities. He gets the puck on net. He does all the stuff offensively you would want him to do, and all the stuff he fixed during his time in Wilkes-Barre seems to be coming back to haunt him a bit. It was like they worked on his development on both sides of the puck so much in Wilkes-Barre that when he came up to the big club, it seems like they told him just to focus on. Well, they didn't tell him, but he felt he had to focus on offense to make an impression, and it's hurting him, and it's kind of just it's not a good fit for him playing in fourth line minutes, but it's also not a good fit to put him on the ice for 20 minutes right now. So nothing good is going to come out of this. I think they're going to have to cut their losses. I think Sprong's out the door the first chance they get.
Wow, that's it's a shame, but yeah, it kind of looks that way, and I just have a feeling he gets on another team, he's going to thrive, and it's just a shame he couldn't do it here, but it's not like he wasn't given chances.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing that's a little bit different than some of like the previous cases that I know I got upset about. But like, you think back to maybe Yanni Pessinen or Luca Caputi, or you name it. It's one of those things where you always felt like those guys never got a real chance. They played 2 games on, it felt like they
Right.
played 2 games on the fourth line, where their line mates were, oh gosh, I can't even think now. Who the fourth line was back then, but it was one of those things where it was just like, yeah, this isn't going to work for anyone. You put anybody short of Crosby, Malkin, and Kessel on that line, you're not going to have a good time, and it doesn't feel that way with Sprong. It feels like he's going to be given enough of an opportunity to prove himself, and so far the results have been underwhelming. I mean, it's one of those things where thankfully Rutherford found somebody who come in this season and take up some quality fourth line minutes in Derek Grant that might lessen the hurt of losing somebody. Like, obviously Grant and Sprong are two different universes of players, but just having somebody be able to take that fourth line minutes and knowing you can bring somebody up from Wilkes-Barre who basically won't be that much worse than Sprong, it's going to be hard to look at that and say, yeah, we're not any worse off if we don't have Daniel Sprong on this team.
Wow.
And I think I think Rutherford's been there. I think Sullivan's getting there if he's not there already. I don't think Daniel Sprong will be a member of this team in playoffs. I just don't see it happening.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's early. There are still so many questions, and yeah, we'll just see how they all play out. The one good thing about Rutherford is there's not a lot of stubbornness there. If he sees there's a failure, he's not afraid to make it right. So we'll see.
I agree with that 95% of the time. I'm a little worried about him being blinded by Johnston. Both his personal relationship with Johnson, I mean, having drafted him and, you know, knowing him for over 12 years now. And, you know,